Once upon a time, in a cozy farm full of life and color, a little boy with a heart full of love and a magical blue horn discovered a world of melodies that touched not only the animals around him, but the fairies hidden among the flowers. This is the tale of music, magic, and moonlight dances. Moonstar music.
Once upon a time, there was a little boy called Little Blue Boy because that was not his name. He lived on a farm with his mother and father, 3 cows, 10 woolly sheep, a little white lamb, and a flower garden. The little blue boy loved the 3 cows, the 10 woolly sheep, and the little white lamb. But especially he loved the flower garden and all the flowers in it. One day his father brought him a blue horn with golden stars painted on it. And when the little boy blew the horn, it sounded so sweet to him, like bread and honey, and it sounded so sweet to the cows in the meadow, like waving yellow corn, and it sounded so sweet to the woolly sheep, like grass and song, and it sounded so sweet to the white lamb, like his mother called him. But to the fairies who lived in the garden, it sounded sweetest of all, like dancing in the moonlight. Little Boy Blue played all day in the garden until, when the shadows put the sun to bed and the birds were singing lullabies, the night wind came into the garden with a message from his mother. "Come home, Little Boy Blue. Time for dinner, and time for bed too. Little Boy Blue, I'm calling you." The little boy put his blue horn with the gold stars under his arm and waved. Good night to the flowers in the garden. The roses bowed good night, and the forget-me-nots good night, and the merry columbine nodded good night. But not a single little lilac was to be seen. I'll tell you why. Pansy crept into the horn, and when Little Boy Blue came home, Pansy went too. And when he was tucked up in bed, with his blue horn with the gold stars beside him, little Lilac Pansy was quiet until the moon looked out the window.
Then something exciting happened. You know, when the moon is shining, the fairies leave their flower houses and dance in the meadow until daylight. So when the first ray of moonlight rose into the sky, the purple pansy fairy jumped up and sang, "Little Boy Blue, come and blow your trumpet. The fairies will dance in the meadow until morning." The little boy Blue sat down and rubbed one eye, but before he could rub the other, the pansy fairy led him out of the room, down the stairs, and into the meadow beneath the garden gate. The blue horn with the golden stars had not been forgotten. The pansy fairy saw it. The moonlight followed them into the meadow, and as the little boy blew his trumpet, all the fairy music flowed, like the stars playing tag with each other, and the fairy sang, "Under the greenwood tree that loves to dance with me, come here, come here, come here." The fairies who lived among the flowers in the garden jumped up when they heard the voice. From the lavender came a young fairy in a bright red skirt. From the daisy came a fat little boy in white. From the forget-me-not came a little child in blue. From the violets came a dear little girl in pale purple. From the roses came the pretty fairies, all in pink. And from the water lily nearest the fountain, the queen of the fairies, in a white satin dress and a golden crown. She could open the gate herself, and she led the fairies across the green grass, and they danced while Little Boy Blue played sweet music. All night long they danced and danced until, first thing you know, they heard a voice. It was the cock telling them that morning was on the way. "Cock-a-doodle-doo, the sun is after you. All the fairies must go to sleep, and so must Little Boy Blue." Cock-a-doodle-doo. The little purple pansy was the last to go, and just before she went away, she threw some fairy dust into the little boy's eyes. He rubbed and rubbed his eyes, but the sleepy feeling would not go away. He fell down beside the haystack in the meadow, and before the morning sun had crept through the grass, he was fast asleep. The fairies ran into the garden and hugged the flowers, for if they did not get to their beds in time, the sun would turn them into butterflies, and they would have to fly from flower to flower all day long with no place to rest. And they were very sleepy. The sun woke up the 3 cows, the 10 woolly sheep, and the little white lamb, but it could not wake the little blue boy because of the fairy dust in his eyes. His father looked for him and said, "Little blue boy, come and blow your horn. The sheep are in the meadow, and the cow is in the corn. Where is the little boy who looks after the sheep? Under the haystack, fast asleep. Goodbye." He woke up and ran home to tell his mother all about his wonderful adventure. And so, the little blue boy learned that the sweetest music comes from the heart, and when shared, it brings joy to everyone, from cows and lambs to moonlit fairies. Twinkle, twinkle, little star,